All right, well, if you've been following us on social media at any length, you know that we had a lightning storm out in this area the other day, yesterday to be precise. They did two things. First, our trusty 3 years running Artisan 6M stopped lofting. The loft fan just will not come on and will not go up. Then we lost power. So we had a roast going on the other machine, mid-roast. Dang near burned it. But hey, God is good. Nothing caught fire. And I want to draw special attention to Coffee Crafters because this box right here, they shipped it yesterday. I called their main number and an actual human picked up, not a switchboard. And I talked to him. His name's Bryce. Thank you, Bryce. I talked to him about what the roaster was doing, what it wasn't doing, and he said, sounds like it could be this part, or this motor. I said, well, can you send me a parts kit? They have these parts kits. He said, sure. Next day, aired it. I have it in my hand. Let's go fix this roaster. This is what the machine looks like with the side panel removed. And I want to emphasize that before you remove this panel, make sure you have unplugged this thing because that's a lot of danger right there. So make sure it's unplugged before you start this. All right, so we're gonna go through the parts here in a minute, but it should come with a new rheostat. It should come with a new solid state module, 25, one or two of these, I believe, or one of these, and I think two of these. And then it should also come with a new no arc contactor. So let's see what's in the box. Here's the bag. You can see this 6M parts kit. So let's pop this sucker open. So it looks like we've got a new main master switch. Looks like we got a brand new thermocouple. Looks like we came with 3 SSRs. One of them is rated for 25 and the other two are rated for 40. New no arc contactor, and then this one here I believe is the one for wattage. Yeah, potentiometer. There's 2 potentiometers in here. This one changes the fan loft speed, and this one will change the wattage coming into the heat coils. And then, oh yeah, new brushes for the electric motor on the loft fan, and another switch, it looks like. So switch, brushes, potentiometers, no arc contactors, thermocouple, another switch. All this can be had for 117 bucks, and with overnight shipping, it was still under 200. So again, thank you, Coffee Crafters. There are ways to test these individual components to make sure that we're replacing the right one, but we're in a hurry to get this machine up and running. And so I'm going to go ahead and just kick off replacing the most likely culprit, and then we'll take it from there. Bryce gave me a quick test to see if it's the main switch or if it's an individual component, and that was to turn on the heating element and the system power. Probably did that in reverse. And then just look down in here and see if the coils get hot. If the coils start to heat up, then we're getting power to everything but the blower fan, hypothetically. And the blower fan itself is the trouble. All right, I feel heat coming off, and I think you can see it right there, starting to smoke. So the coils are getting hot. Also, this temperature is climbing. So we're going to turn that back off. So we're getting power here to our roast air temperature. This wattage is working, and obviously the system power switch is working. So the only thing that's not working is beam loft. So I'm going to turn this back off, kill power from the wall. And we're going to start with the first component, which is going to be this potentiometer here. See if that fixes it. From what I've read online, this 25 volt SSR 25 solid state relay is prone to go out on these. So that's where we're going to start. Again, power is off to the machine. Would not do this unless power is off to the machine. Very dangerous. So remember where these go. Don't want to get them crossed up. All right. Remember, if this one's fine, we're just going to put it back. And we're trying to get this thing fixed in a hurry. So we're going to open up our bag of solid state relays and make sure you get the one marked 25. See, there's one that's a 40. Make sure we get the 25. There's the 25. Don't want to mix those up. And remember that it went on upside down. Okay, that's another important piece to remember. All right, I have to get a longer screw. I don't think it's going to work. Nope. Longer screw. Okay, found a new longer screw, got it in there. And this contact, as I was pushing this in, slid right into place. So we're going to go gentle. Don't have to give it anything hardly, just a little bump. All right, new solid state relay is in. So I'm going to make sure no one is around to touch this thing. And I'm going to put the power back on, make sure nobody's in this area, and try the switch again, see what happens. All right, here goes nothing. Okay, we've still got nothing. So the trouble has to reside within the motor down there. We're down here at the very bottom of the machine. And there's our loft motor. You can see it is held on by 1, 2, back down there, 3 nuts. And then the connectors are here. And they got one that looks like it's a ground to the bottom of the box here. And the other 2 are just push-in connectors. So you got to take note of which one's which and make sure we don't accidentally hook the wrong wire to the wrong wire when we come back out. So I'm gonna get to work removing those nuts and pull this blower fan out. I think those are nuts. No, those are half. So let me get those out of there. I'll come back when those nuts are off. I want to come back real quick and say one thing, and that is it's actually easier to remove these little guys here and pull the whole plate. And there's 4 of those. One there. There's 2 up here. Another one back there. And then the whole plate comes out. So those are 3/8. So I'm going to remove those instead of those 1/2-inch nuts and then pull the whole motor and plate out. All right, we got the electric motor out here in front of us. A little bit of wrestling to get it out, and you got to remember to loosen up this ground wire here. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. And it looks like these are Torx bits. So let's see if I got one that fits. And that's too big. Well, that's really too big. Getting this bag of tricks to see what we got in here. Okay, so it looks like none of those will work, but we got another bag of bits right here. Let's open these bad boys up. See if we got one in here that'll fit it. There we go. All right, let's remove these. Okay, got the Torx bits removed. This housing just kind of pulls straight up, but we got to remember these wires are here. So I've got to clip this little zip tie here so that I can slide it through the little rubber grommets there and expose the brushes. Okay, got that cut. Pull this up. That one don't want to come loose at all. No, that makes me nervous. Ooh, that's in there. There it goes. Occasionally, they just need a human touch, I guess. All right, so despite what I said earlier, I think I'm going to have to take it off this back plate. Okay, lift this off the plate. I guess this comes off. Surely this has to come off some kind of way. Okay, so we got a little 1/2-inch socket for the impact wrench here. And we're going to try to, whoop, that just spins the whole motor really fast. I don't know if we got a way to hold that. Let's try sticking a screwdriver in the blade without damaging it. Okay, that worked. Woo. I don't have to let it fall in. Okay, so we'll flip it over, flat washer out. Flat washer's out. See if we can remove the motor, and we cannot. So we're going to have to remove each one of these little hold downs. There we go. Covers off, fans off. And there's why we couldn't get it to come loose, is because there's 4 more Torx bits right there. Good. 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 And good. All right. And there is another big metal ring right here. So we don't want to lose that. So I'm gonna put that right there. Set that over to the side. All right, and this must be a little cooling fan right there. I don't know how to get that off of there, but I think that should be all that's holding this electric motor in now. All right, we got it off there. Good news, and it is not cracked. Basically, I had to put the nut back on here and then do some reverse twisting here. But while that is good news, the bad news is the darn casing will still not come apart. I am not sure what is happening with this casing. It won't split. The only thing I can figure is that maybe the bearing is pressed in there and it's not coming out of the bearing. What? I'm not sure. So I'm gonna try an old trick my dad taught me to make sure that we don't damage the threads. And that is to screw this back down until it's flush here, about right there. And then pick up on the casing and tap that right there. See if it'll come on out. I'm just going to gently tap with this little 1/4 inch impact or ratchet. Last thing I want to do is damage that shaft. All right. Okay, that seems to be working. So we're going to gently continue to tap while holding the case up. And actually, I'm going to use something that doesn't have a metal head on it. I'm going to use something with a plastic head on it. Tap it that way. There we go. So file that one away for future use. You will need to smack this pretty hard to get this bottom case half off. And once the case half is off, you look in there and see, yeah, these brushes, yeah, they're burnt. Yeah, gum. This sucker is pretty worn down. I'm gonna replace the brushes, but I'm betting that it won't be too much longer and this sucker's gonna need, like Bryce was telling me, it's gonna need a whole nother motor. See how worn that is? Sheesh. Okay, so don't forget we've got that little felt washer there. And then these bad boys, they sit in here. They got a little spring that pushes them around like that and like that. So now I've got to figure out how to disconnect these old brushes and install the new brushes. So let's get the new brushes out. Take a look at them. Here's our new brushes. And these appear to be crimp on fittings. So I think they're crimped. Yeah, so I'm gonna get these out of the package and we'll take a peek at them. So here's a look at the new brushes. Here, brand new brushes. There's the grooves right there. And I'm gonna pay special close attention to where the copper wire comes out. So if you look, copper wire comes out here. And if you look, copper wire comes out down here on the old brush. So I know that this has got to feed to the electric motor like so, like this. All right, that makes sense to everybody? So this little crimp is gonna go right here. And then this guy, we're gonna take this little braided wire here. Also, you'll notice there's a groove on the butt end of it. You see that groove on the butt right there? Get the camera to focus. Yeah, anyway, that groove's gotta go where that groove was. So now we just gotta cut these. We also have got to zip tie it back. So I hope I've got some zip ties. Yeah, let's hope I got some zip ties. Okay, gently, cutting myself or destroying the electric motor. Pull that zip tie out. Do the same thing over here. Gently, Monroe. Move that zip tie. Okay, now we've got to pull this guy from under this tape. See how he's held in. Not making it easy on me, that's for dang sure. Just the tape. So we'll pull the tape back up and over like so. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rotor out. And this looks like it's been rubbing right there. I'm gonna pull that rotor out, come underneath here, pull that out. Right there. There's where we're connecting up right there. And this guy, he crimps in right here. So there's one crimp here that holds this brush on, and you can see the other contact going out to the power wire. So we got to undo this crimp right here. It isn't very tight. I mean, it's just you just give it a little twist and it looks like it's coming loose. So we're gonna go ahead and pinch this, get it off of there. Be very gentle. All right, got that off without damaging it. And the new one comes with two crimpers. See, we got 1, 2. So we're gonna separate these two guys. We'll make one for each side. Save that one for the other side, and then we'll get our new brush. And we look at these brushes, make sure that they're the exact same. They are. You see, they're built exactly the same, so we don't accidentally, not that we would, but accidentally reverse sides. And then we take this bad boy here, we lay him up against it like this, and we're gonna crimp him just like he was crimped before. My trick's gonna be getting it to hold in there while I crimp it. Come on, buddy, stay put while I crimp you in there. So, since it's being obstinate, no, that didn't do it. There we go. I sincerely hope my big noggin's not blocking. No, it's not. Okay, good. All right. There we go. Make sure it's a good connection. All right, I'm gonna spare you guys all the details. I'm gonna get this one. You've seen me crimp this one. I'm gonna put the protective cover back on it, do the other side, and come back to you when we've got this thing ready to go back in the case. All right, I have them both tied back in. Got the tape reapplied to both sides. And now I just gotta go find a couple of zip ties. And it'll be time to install the brand new brushes. I didn't have two big zip ties like they had before, so I just zip tied it up with two smaller zip ties per side. But that looks pretty dang clean if I do say so myself. So there's new brush 1, and there's new brush 2. Now we got to get these inside this case, and I'm going to show you a little trick. These little springs right here, see these? Those push the brush forward as it wears down. So the way to get it in is to take the spring and cock it back to here and stick it in that little groove. And do the same thing over here. That way when you put this rotor in and try to get these new brushes in place, you don't have to fight the springs that go on the brushes. So I'm gonna stick all this together because I'm just a one-handed cameraman, and then I'm gonna come back and show you how everything looks put back together. This is looking down through the stator with the new brushes poking out down there. You can see them down below, and I still haven't released the tension on the springs yet right there, so you can see the brand new brushes are pushing in, filling that slot completely, whereas before they were just two nubs. And also I've got the felt washer down there in the center. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the rotor in, and then hope for the best. Okay, I've got these two screws in holding the rotor into the stator, and then now you can see the brushes down here. You can see it moves freely back and forth right here, and there's the spring that holds it in. So I'm gonna take this pair of needle nose, try to do this on camera where you can see. I'm gonna reach in there, I'm gonna grab that spring and pull it up, and there you go. Now you can see it's pressed into the back of the brush. Let me get the camera to focus. See it pressed in the back of the brush right there? And then I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm gonna release the spring and press it in the back of the brush. And then we'll put the front 4 screws on, and it'll be ready to go. And here's a really good close-up of that spring being pushed into the back of the brush to hold tension against the rotor in there. One of the things I wanted to note was remember to clock this air outlet the right way before you put these 4 screws down tight and reinstall it, because it's got to point to the box where the heater is, where the heating coils are. So just make sure it's clocked right, and also remember to put this washer right here. When I neglected to mention, let me just back up a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself, y'all. You're like, wait a minute. Make sure that you put that fan back on. All that to just show you the fan, but yeah, make sure that fan gets back in there. A little tap with a plastic screwdriver head should do the job. All right, so we'll make sure it's clocked correctly. Push those down in there. And then we're going to start these by hand like we always do. And then we'll send them home with the Torx. We also want to make sure that we don't leave any of these sticking up because that fan blade has to go back in. Okay, so we're going to make sure this is in place here. And then we're just going to flip it up on its side. Make sure everything looks okay. And then we're going to give this a turn here to make sure that it still spins. Because if it doesn't spin, we did something wrong. All right, she spins. All right, now we got to get this guy on here. And then this washer goes in here. Like that, and then on goes the nut for the fan blade, and then we're going to put the impact on there and tighten that down. All right, spins freely. We're ready to put that metal case on and reinstall this bad boy. Oh well, and put it on its framework over there. One quick thing to remember is don't forget to put your 2 screws in that hold the case housing over the electric motor. But there it is reassembled. Got the front cover back on, and now I'm going to put the bracket on. And of course, it goes without saying, don't forget to clock the motor on the plate correctly so that it will also fit in the hole in the box when it goes back in. All right, you can see, got the nut back on there, there, and there. And the blower outlet is back in the hot box. So now it's time to test it. Whew. All right, there goes nothing. All right, we've got her plugged back in. And we're gonna hit the master power switch, and then we're gonna see if the Bean Loft fan motor kicks on. Whew. If I mess it up, y'all gonna see a lot of smoke and a sad coffee roaster turned motor rebuilder. All right, here goes nothing. All right, we got a blower motor. Now for how much longer, I don't know. Bryce at Coffee Crafters told me that there's a good chance that thing will go very shortly after replacing the brushes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another motor on order. But in the meantime, it's time to put this back together and roast some coffee. Well, that felt good to see that thing and hear that thing run again. But because the brushes fixed it, that means the blower motor itself is about to be done. And you saw the wear marks in that rotor. So I'm gonna have to place an order for a brand new blower. But in the meantime, thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Coffee Crafters. Thank you, God, that our building did not catch fire and burn down. And we thought a lightning strike is what had killed the machine. Turns out it's just 3 years of hard use wearing the brushes down. My wife goes, "Is there a brushless motor that fits that?" I was like, I wish. I don't know. Has anyone out there found a brushless motor that fits an Artisan Coffee Crafters roaster? If you have, let me know, because I want a brushless motor. In the meantime, I'm going to be buying a new brush motor, but that'll get us by, get us caught up. Love you all. Thank you so much for being a fan of Monderosa Coffee. And if you're new and you're just seeing this because it's a repair video, well, I do this here for the coffee roastery, just the coffee roastery, and then I have another channel called Grub and Gas where I fix cars and do other stuff. But I'd love to have you subscribe. Follow along here as we build this into a coffee empire and bring our family along for the ride and lift up the name of Jesus through what we do. Because at the end of the day, we come into this world with nothing and we leave this world with nothing. So why not give it everything while we're here and bring some people along with us to heaven? So if you don't know, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by him. And Jesus came to this earth and he died to forgive us of our sins. This is good news. John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son," that's Jesus, "that whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life." And Jesus is but a prayer away, friend. That's it. All right, I'm gonna get off here. We gotta go roast some coffee. God bless.